And of course, if you want to do any long pass King's Quest 6 speedrun, you gotta start with play. Always critical. Speed up high. I don't think you need to mess with detail. You're welcome to. Your mileage may vary on that, but otherwise you don't have to worry about it. This run is going to assume you know why on earth we are picking up different items and using them on different people. To explain it would take way too long. But I do recommend a casual playthrough of this anyway. We do have a couple of critical keys here. So left click will move you around. Right click moves your action icons to different things like walk, use, eyeball, talk. All things that you might be familiar with if you've played this before. The others, middle mouse, that's actually a action storage key. So for example, if I have the eye out and I want to switch to the walk icon more quickly, I can press middle mouse. You can also do this with insert as well if that's more your speed. Enter, just, allows you to input things a little bit quicker. It is dangerous to do things this way. There are situations where you do not want to use it. I'll try and hopefully you can see the distinction as we kind of do a quick walkthrough. And then escape is good for pulling up this menu or exiting a menu. Oh, we're not carrying anything, so that doesn't help. Oh, look at this. I discovered a new thing where I got stuck behind a rock. Okay, sure? There's your tutorial. All done. Run over. No, I said all that and I don't feel like saying it again. So we're going to restart, which you would normally do anytime you screw up a run. Always good to record a restart in your submission video. So here's a great example of how you do that. So there are your tools in the trade. You start off by grabbing 2 items here. Time starts when you hit play after changing your settings. So we're going to get our Royal Insignia ring and a cup of coin. One neat factor of playing the game in the ideal emulator, Quan VM, is that certain clicks for movement can actually make Alex go super quickly. If I do this right, one of them is here, like that. See, you can kind of just go super quickly. Other times he just walks. I'll do my best to hit all of them so you can see what I'm talking about. All these books has one if you don't move from the start. I like to hold down enter to skip this little thing here. It's hard to tell, but this is the book right here. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Afterwards, we talk to him twice, and that gives us all the relevant meta quest triggers we're going to need. And then over here is an incredibly boring book, so of course we want that. So on the Isle of the Crown, we have to learn about different items we eventually need, so we just have to talk to people until we eventually get what we need. We have to have one quick conversation with the ferryman inside his ferry. A little piece of tech right here. So you can see Alex walking to his seat at the ferry. He's doing that at a predetermined speed that feels narratively relevant for the game. But if we actually take our speed slider, move it up, and then back down again, and you can do it all the way down, or you can even do it a fidget. Back up, doesn't matter.
What is it you wanted to
You can see he'll immediately zip to where you need to be. So talk to him once. There. Trust that he said something important. We will go ahead and get our first major item, a magic map. Well, first we're going to get a mint. That's a surprise tool that'll help us later. So let's get our map. We're going to trade our Royal Insignia ring for it. This fella here is going to grab his own mint. This is a bit of a narrative clue for casual play. Anyway, he's going to trigger a cutscene. Make sure you right-click out of this, otherwise it takes longer to skip through if you're holding enter. Lastly, let's pick up a painter's brush. When you give him the coin, he'll give you an option of 4 items, all of which you will need for a casual long pass run. We don't need any of this stuff except the end game item, which is the painter's brush. We can get out of here. So if you played it casually, you know this magic map can only be used on a beachfront, which is why we moved over here. We're going to go to the Isle of Wonder first. Now, as part of our long pass fork in the game, we do need to pick up this run-on sentence that is floating in the ocean. Normally, you have to wait for it to float over here, and it takes a while. We still have to wait a little bit, but if we talk to this clam and then set up a boring book, we can trigger a separate puzzle that we're only going to half complete. And while we do, and if we're doing that while that, like that, okay. It got a little ahead of me, but you saw what happened. As soon as the sentence starts to move, click the boring book on the clam, skip out of its little pop-up there, and then this moves a lot faster. Usually it takes a lot longer to get where it needs to go. This leads us to one of the core skills we're going to need in a King's Quest VI speedrun. It's known colloquially by a lot of different things in the community. The most descriptive name for it is churning isn't walking. So for proper game experience, if we are walking and we want to do something, like let's read our book. Alex stops. He is no longer walking over here. He needs to finish his book. That overrides any other command. The way that's coded, to oversimplify, is that if Alex is known to be walking, the game says stop him from doing that while he completes his action. An oversight within the game is that the churning around animation that he does is not considered walking. So, for example, if we do something like this while he is mid-churn, you can see Alex is walking while he opened the book. When we use that kind of action, we can overlap certain trigger areas. For example, if you play casually, you know if we walk over to this opening, gnome guards are going to show up and throw Alex back into the ocean, which we don't want. So if we position ourselves in just the right way, we can actually skip it. For beginners, it's actually fairly straightforward. I like to click where I want to go and then immediately hit escape. So this is actually the correct orientation with Alex facing directly forward. If he's doing that, then you can use an item to get where you need to go. I find the map tends to be the quickest one you have at this early stage. It just glides right over. We don't actually want to go anywhere, so just put it away. And we'll transition to the next screen. Extremely nifty. Gives a lot of major quests. We're going to do a couple more zips in the chessboard land here and get some more MacGuffins for MacGuffins. These guys are pretty good to right-click through. You can hold enter down if you really want to spare your wrist, but it will move a smidge slower. And those are precious, precious frames you're leaving on the table. Alright, we have a scarf. Pick up some iceberg lettuce.
Alexander.
Indeed. And let's go back down here. Now, another long path variation is we need to get over to this right side of the beach. So we're going to do the exact same. Churning isn't walking skip again. Now, this time around, for reasons not entirely clear to me, even though we are still churning, with Alex facing forward or backward in this kind of like vertical orientation, it doesn't work. So you can either get really good at eyeballing it and get the menu at the exact time, or you can press escape one more time and he'll move to the next frame of his animation. So this diagonal orientation he has, that is favorable. That's what we want. So let's go ahead and zip over here.
Alexander.
Get our next little side quest from the bookworm to get a dangling participle, which has left the island, something, something, something. Ignore oxymoron and diphthong here. Skip to this dialogue. Now, we are still in danger of triggering the gnome, so don't walk to the end of the beach. This is good enough to trigger your teleportation map. See, he just walks over. So we're going to get our dangling participle and also use one more item which will melt if we're not careful. Talk to him once, otherwise he won't be open to the sentence thing. Stick him right on in there, it's fine. Throw our iceberg lettuce into here. We're doing this just so we can grab the hunter's lamp. We want this sooner rather than later. But we don't need anything else from the island just yet. So back to the Isle of Wonder. Do some classic item for item puzzles. Gonna save again one more time here. Wouldn't be very proper for me to break the run.
Alexander.
Mid-guide here. Give that back to him. He's going to give us a rare book that we can trade for a spell book. An important long path item. The actual quality of the ending we get is not particularly relevant. We just have to take the longer of the two game paths for this to be considered valid. Which we did need the spellbook for. Let's pick that up. Another great character that you need casually. We will not be needing him. Silly clowns are off.
Yeah.
Now we are on to the infamous Cliffs of Logic, where players of yore had to break out their copy protection and their manuals to figure out, and we don't avoid that entirely, but we do make it a little bit more interesting. So we can get out of bounds here. There's a couple of ways to do it that are fairly complex. What should work for you, or 99% of you, is holding down the print screen button. That's why that's up there. If you hold that down while your mouse is up here, try and keep it around this walk area. Hold that down while clicking, and you'll get out of bounds. Suddenly you'll be on the next cliff up. We're going to turn our speed down a couple of ticks. I'm going to use 3 for safety. We're going to use that same principle again. Mouse up here, print screen, click. And now you can see that Alex is now in a kind of walking, floating animation. And this is where it gets a little tricky. Now we are going faster than actually climbing up the cliff step by step, but we still need to solve this puzzle. Otherwise, Alex is going to float off to the top, and he will not be coming back. So let's try and click this at the right time.
There is Alexander.
And now we would do the puzzle in the conventional manner. The thing is, if you're now in a bit of a time limit, you need to do this before Alex floats entirely off the screen. So let's see if we can pull that off. This is also ideally where you want Alex. You don't want him completely gone, but you don't want him too low either, because he's going to snap to the closest relevant step that he needs to be on. So we want his legs to dangle a little bit. That should be enough to get right on this step, and then on that step, which is automatic. So we're going to do that a few more times, all with the same conventional solutions here.
There is Alex.
You can see there's a trick between trying to click on this item at the right time while not overdoing it and floating past it. But if you get too early, you end up playing it a little too safe, and you kind of clicking way too often.
Alexander.
It's a real challenge. Ideally, if this were like a PB attempt, I would not be saving here, but
there is Alex.
the potential for failure is pretty high. This is just a tutorial after all. And one more to go. This is actually one you do not need the manual for. It's just a word problem, kinda. Just pick rising words.
Alex.
No? Okay, fine. And that is the cliffs done. Extra quick. While you're climbing up here, go ahead and tick your speed back to the max, because the game put it down while you were doing all that climbing. Here the genie is trying to kill us. If you play casually, you know what that's all about. You can basically disregard anytime it tries to do that to you. I just hold down enter and move on. If you play this casually, you know you're about to get thrown into the catacombs to do some questing. Normally the game will throw you in there if you have all the items you need, and will throw you back to the beach if you do not have the items. But you can go back in against the better casual judgment, even if you don't have everything. Because we don't have a couple of items the game thinks we need, we are going to get thrown back to the bottom of the beach, but thankfully we don't have to do the cliffs again. Luckily, thanks to Turing isn't walking, some of the items we would need are not going to come up. So let's pop back up here. We're going to do that speed slider trick again. These lovely fellows are going to throw us in. Rude. So there's a way to basically out of bounds your way, kind of ping-ponging through the catacombs. It's a little too nuanced for me to explain about a visual aid, so just trust. First, we do need to pick up a couple of items that'll be helpful later. I like to hold down enter. he just moves a little bit quicker. There's also a couple of zips in here. Pensive Goat, the current world record. This is a skull, by the way, a very special skull that you can only get here. He likes to click over here, kind of zip up right next to the pillar. Here's another puzzle, which you need the manual for. Normally, you have to step on certain tiles to not get murdered. Alternatively, you can also hold down the Alt key. I use left Alt and just go back the way you came. The game gets tripped up and actually puts you on the other side. Again, for reasons that are pretty amusing, but a little hard to explain right now. Pick up that shield, and the last item we need on the first floor are some cold coins. This guy's not using his.
Alex.
It's a little piece of new technology here. So we've so far defined churning isn't walking as an actual churning animation. So as long as you're doing some kind of action while you're in a churning animation, then you can move through triggers into different areas. We actually found one other exception to this, which is using the About button. So hopefully I teed this up right. Let's see. Nothing too fancy here. You click About. You have all these different fun little items here for things you need to do. We're going to use About King's Quest 1 through 5, which is just a summary of every game before this. So you click through a couple of windows here, and the game gets confused, doesn't put you in the next room, and plops you on the second floor. Very helpful for our needs. We're going to do that a couple more times to basically cheat our way into the end catacomb room we need. Positioning does matter. I'm going to try and give you the best orientations here at once. There you can see I was a little too slow, and I went through the door in the conventional manner. Do it one more time. That delay means that we're probably good. There we go. And suddenly we are at the Minotaur. So do your usual thing. We just do this the conventional red scarf way. Trick him into his non-OSHA compliant fire hole. Whee! Do a ton of right-clicking. Let's through all this dialogue. We're in for some extended cutscenes. You gotta get thanked by the least enthusiastic parents I've ever seen. Yes, yes, yes. And then we're gonna get a visit from the Oracle. The Oracle, if you've played casually, she's the first one that actually gives you the rundown that there are 2 ways to beat the game. So, more or less telegraphs that you have to make a decision here. So, we have to make the decision that involves us going to the realm of the dead, so we have to get equipped accordingly for that. Which involves doing all 3 spells in the spell book we went through a lot of trouble to acquire. So let's get some items pertaining to that. We have the new Isle of the Mist sign here. Let's pop over there. You get 1 free visit to the Isle of the Mist. Second time you go there, you will be captured by druids. So when that happens, you have to be ready. But in the meantime, we can loot all their stuff.
The ocean.
Oh, don't do that. I do that a lot. Sometimes I overclick and I end up drowning. So back to the Isle of Wonder, where some new items have appeared. Most of which around the long path items we're going to need. So let's do our trick one more time.
Alexander.
Sit back over here. The queens are back. They're going to give us a spoiled egg for our super cool lump of coal. Nothing in the game explains it better than the way I just did, so stay confused. There you go. Give it to the white queen. The red one doesn't want it. She has her own. Off they go. And remember, there's still some chatter at the end here, so be ready to skip that. Need this teacup.
Alex.
This rotten tomato. And we need different waters in our hunter's lamp for a spell. So here's sacred water we got. Get some from the baby's tears.
Alex.
You might be thinking we need to do a puzzle to get these, but for some reason you can just get them. No bottle of milk needed. Don't forget your swamp ooze. I do this all the time. Nice guy. Oh, hello. There we go. You'll find out that some of the hitboxes are kind of odd. Exhibit A. So funny you can't skip this. Every time we have to watch the fight. To get your swamp ooze. Now, again, some relatively new tech at the time of recording. Normally, we would just map out right away. It's actually better to walk over here, generally. And we want to set up a new piece of technology where we will have permanent zipping power. So to do this, I talk to the clam, immediately hit it to escape before anything can happen too much.
Alex.
And then we're going to map out. And as we are coming out of the ground on our arrival, like right here, pop the speed back up, and we should have, yep, instant teleportation. Now, we can't use this early on in the run because obviously it does kind of mess up turning isn't walking, so certain areas that we need to skip become impossible to skip as a result. So we employ it at this stage in the game where we no longer need to worry about that kind of thing. But you can see how much faster that is. Just be careful that from here on out until the end of the game, you do not move the speed slider anymore. That's how you disable this technology, and you want to hold on to it for almost the rest of the run. See, again, another great hitbox. Yeah, you kind of want to move a little bit to the right of her. That tends to be more reliable. Go! Now, while you might move fast, other characters don't, so you still gotta wait for them to hurry themselves up here. They move in their own time. Here. There we go. Sort these people out. I don't know why we help him. I think he's kind of a jerk, personally. Alright, get our last water for our lamp spell. If you have played Long Pass, you know you need to do all of this for your second trip to the Druid Island, so you do not perish. So let's prep that spell now. Again, no way to speed this up. You can speed the actual animation up, but it does nothing for the actual timer. Go. So now we just ride out these druids attempting to kill us. Hi, Bobbin. Now here's a good example of where I find it is better to hold down Enter. One, spares your wrist, which is probably hurting at this stage in the run. This will be our fork for the long pass. So part of this whole script is we burn Beauty's clothes, which we normally use to infiltrate the castle on the short pass. So we are now locked in for our long pass. At this point, we can just beat the game however we like, which isn't too much of a deviation from the standard run at this point, but if we ever had to get creative within the future, then we could probably do it after this fork. But we have to go to the Realm of the Dead, so we have to queue up our next spell for that. Get some lore from the druids. Wait for them to leave very slowly. Prep your skull, like you do. Do not forget to pick up your feather. Otherwise, you have to make an embarrassing trip back here before the run ends. Prep our spell. You can try and like double up your clicks here. Hold down enter again until Alex starts doing his chant.
Creature of night,
Can't skip
to
this
me
part.
succumb. Fire
It is pretty metal,
quench
though.
and leave thee numb. Purity bind thee like a chain, to do whate'er I now ordain.
And hold down enter again, which see this little come hither finger smoke. Skip through a couple quick narration lines. Up on Nightmare, our convenient little horse, winged horse. Anti-Pegasi. Talk to the ghost parents of the princess we're stalking. Make sure you chat at this ghost as well. It is possible for the Permazips to screw you over here. Try to be intentional in your clicks here. It's very easy to take a nosedive into the sticks if you're not careful. Now, of course, we have this all-critical puzzle. Welcome in, Retro Gamer Dad. We're doing a kind of a live guide for the long path because we do have some new technology that we haven't gone over any traditional resources. So hopefully I didn't leave you hanging there too much. Now that we are indeed in the bone zone. Now, as you may recall from a casual playthrough, the Realm of the Dead is a prime spot for missing critical items that you'll never ever get a chance to grab again. So let's make sure we get that skeleton key. This is a screen that you want to be really careful on. It's not hard, per se, but like, don't click anywhere but like right here. And then you should be fine. You should be okay. Get your sticks water, give your money to Karen, Sharon, Sharon. Take your pick. Make sure for this upcoming Skull Gate, make sure you use the hand icon. Don't walk towards it or you will be murdered.
What?
So, answer its riddle.
My first is foremost.
The answer is love.
Real quick, just for optimization purposes, you can obviously just walk up here. Because we have our talk balloon queued up, I sometimes like to hold down enter on the previous screen where this guy is, just so I'm immediately talking to him and then I get shot right over to this fella. But don't hold down enter much longer because then you might get killed. Gauntlet. Mirror to make him cry. Always feel a teeny bit bad about this.
Yeah.
So there's not too much left in the run that's actually speedrun specific. We are going to make a beeline for the castle. We're not going to be doing any high level good ending genie bottle swapping. We will be killing him. Which we normally need an item for, but we don't actually have to worry about in the run, and you'll see why in a little bit.
And stir.
Do your conventional magic paint spell, your ooze and your sticks water, stirred with a black feather.
To the tea.
Paint your door. Remember that paintbrush we got all the way at the start of the run?
With
So here we're just going to be knocking out all the relevant triggers to start the wedding, basically.
and
There's a couple of things we can skip just with meta knowledge. Other things we do need to work all the way through. We do need to hear this ghost child's secret to get into the drywall. Let's go ahead and sort him out. Make sure you click on the arm, not the knight like I did. Game wants you to do the armor, it won't count.
Alex.
Okay, pop up here. Talk to Kasima through this hole.
What?
You need to make sure you give her the dagger. The game will absolutely let you not do this, and then you'll be soft locked. After that, just wait for this scene to run out. Ready to right click because you'll start talking again.
Alex.
Boop, boop, boop. Combination of walking down the halls and skipping narrators. Skeleton key on this chest. Grab that, hold down enter on this cabinet so you're immediately on to your next location.
Alex.
Using the hand icon here seems to be most effective.
Since
Give this the Ali Zebu treatment.
Listen, door.
it works.
Now, if you've played, again, if you've played this casually, you know there's a big reveal here. You don't actually have to do it, you just have to enter this room and leave. Boop.
Alex.
Pop up here. This is mostly scripted. We found a letter in Alhazred's room. Give that to Saladin here, best boy. I like to hold down enter right here because we're going to have our walk icon and we can immediately approach the wedding. Then we're back to right clicks. Cool close-up scene, but hey, gotta keep moving.
King.
We can hold down enter again on this door because we're still going to have our walk icon. You can basically catch up to him, which is funny. Whee! So normally you're either supposed to swap out the genie's bottle or use some mint you found at the Isle of Sacred Mountain. As it turns out, the mint you get at the start of the game, which you would normally only use on an early gnome puzzle, this has the same ability to kill the genie as the mint extract, which is a really fun detail.
Look what...
So let's do that. Sorry, genie. Oh well. Hold down enter over the sword to grab that. And then for your final piece of tech, click your weapon, and instead of watching our cool rotoscope fight, do the old slider down, slider up trick. And then hold down enter over Alhazred to call time when we do the final bonk. And that's it. Our points don't matter at this point. As long as we did the long path, you have done your long path Kings Plus 6 speedrun, so congratulations. I will try to address any other minor details in the comments for this, but that is basically how it works, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me if you want any further details. Or join the Kings Quest Speedrunner Discord, which will also have a lot of very enthusiastic people who will be happy to help you out. So, thank you very much for giving this a watch, and I hope you enjoy the run.